Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Top Deck Heroes, your number one source for all of your UFS and Universes information. We've got our regular hosts tonight. We've got myself, Sean O'Brien. Always right below me is Kevin Broberg. To his right, Jesse Cervini. And above him, Timmy Two Belts, Tim Keefe. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Hey.
So we've got a pretty full schedule tonight. We've got 4 topics of discussion. We have our new weekly legacy survey. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. We have our final retro roundup for the Jasco retro circuit. We have the TKE TTST to talk about, the Tim Keefe experimental tabletop simulator tournament. And we have an update on the Jasco Christmas bundles. So let's go ahead and get started with our survey for the week. So we've decided that every week we want to go back into the history books, to the primordial ooze of UFS, and look at some old cards that we'd like to play again. And this week the survey card was Chain Throw. For those who are uninitiated, Chain Throw is a 5 difficulty, 3 mid for 5 throw. It has no block, so it can't be that good. With air, evil, and fire, it's a stun 2, throw, and weapon. Now, back in the old days, we reminded people that if the attack is fully blocked, it still deals half damage.
Yeah, so that was one thing. This is totally tangential, but I think this is one thing that Sabretooth probably had right, was separating that text from the throw keyword. Even though they kind of always put it on every throw, by tying it to the throw keyword, we sort of got put in a place where we couldn't. I mean, we've wandered from that now, but for a long time we couldn't have the throw effect unless we could say this attack is flavor-wise a throw.
Mm-hmm. It has an enhance. It says E. If this attack deals damage, each player takes 1 card from their momentum and adds it to their hand, and your opponent commits 1 of their foundations. And so the question we asked, Chain Throw, is it too good, good enough, or not good enough to be in Standard today? And before we have our hosts discuss how they feel about it, I wanted to bring up the survey answers. So we surveyed fans on the Facebook, on the Rochester CCG Facebook page, the UFS Facebook page for North America, Canada, and the United Kingdom, as well as the public marketplace. We found that 46 people thought it was just fine for Standard, 30 thought it was too good for Standard, and 3 didn't think it was good enough for Standard. So, what do we all think?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to my attention is that this has bad stats, frankly, for the current era. 5 difficulty, 5 damage is a poor rate. This does not add more damage to itself. It does interfere with your ability to block it, so that's nice. But 5 difficulty, no block. 3 control is just fine, but look at this next to Scarlet Meteor and be embarrassed. A lot of it, the viability of this the stun 2, and also the text that enhance. And so this is virtually a stun 3 attack. So this is a good opener. This is good for kind of sustained aggression over many turns, but how much is that even about even what the game's about? Like, I would love you to play this into my reversal decks if you're just gonna lock this out on turn 2 and give me a juicy hook to bite on.
So,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the first camp where I think it'd be good for Standard, and defining good as it would see a little a non-zero play, but I don't think it'd be ubiquitous. I think there are decks that would consider running just as a 2x or whatever if they like the keywords or the properties of the card, right? If you're running a fog blanket deck, this is pretty interesting for you. For instance, if you're running something like Jet, where you can increase the stun rating, or
Greedy Yuga. Hey.
Or I don't think this shares with Van Helsing, but you can imagine decks like that. Sea Viper, I believe it does share with Viper. I don't know off the top of my head.
Viper has fire, yeah. I think Helsing is Stakeout is Order Death all. So no match.
But yeah, there are decks that would look at this and Yeah, okay, I get to have a throw presence in my deck. Not granted it has evil and fire, so Vicious Madness is high. But maybe mainly air decks, or just decks that okay, I don't need my throw presence to just be dumb numbers. I want it to have some effect. I want it to have stun. I want it to do some things for me besides just damage.
Jesse?
Yeah, there is stun
sorry.
tribal. That is a thing that exists. Combo stun.
I still think this card's perfectly fine in standard. That's the biggest thing I've actually just noted the chat about it is I like the idea of an attack that gets me back another card. As long as it's not, as long as it does 8 point of damage, I'm getting something back from my momentum that's there. And if I'm like I said, this definitely would be like a 2x. I remember back in the day running 4x to this card. I could not run 4x to this card now. I definitely could say that. But also there was, Absurd Strength was legal when this card was legal.
Kunai
was legal.
Kunai was legal. And there was a lot of cogs going on with this deck when this card was legal. It made it crazy. So, but
yeah, and I think critically, just attacks back then weren't good compared to what we have now. You had crazy combo cards. You had crazy degenerate stuff. You had the attack. You had Yoga Roundhouse Kick, right? Let's talk about this card. Then let's talk about add any 3 cards for discard pile to your hand if you want to talk about recursion. But by and large, attacks sucked. Foundations were great, and you played chess with or maybe you were playing Gunsung and you played Bird of Prey or Criminal Uppercut, and those were good cards. Those would be cards you could see today, but they'd be a little overcosted and a little bit clunky compared to Vicious Madness. Compared to
DJ literally has Criminal Uppercut and nobody cares, right? I might be forgetting some part of Criminal Uppercut, but
it replaced the multiple.
Okay.
Yeah, the momentum you spent on multiple you got back.
Sure.
So it was like a stimulus.
In standard, that wouldn't mean much, but in the Unsung, it did.
Right.
it was good in Cody. Because Cody was power up. Cody was E-commit something crazy. He was E-commit power up or something crazy. He paid for it with it himself.
You give your check a crazy loop too, so you could pass a card with 7 progressive difficulty or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like as far as chain throw goes in standard, I do think having designed cards before, it could, it has to, that it's a guardrail you got to be thinking about constantly as you design in the future. Because the Eon chain throw is something I designed. I remember when I designed Surveyor, right? Surveyor, form speed, add a card from your momentum to your hand. It wasn't a world ender. And this card not only gives you a card, it gives my opponent a card, and it commits one of their things. And there is so much hate for those things. Because, Mother Russia runs into this. Venomous, Revoke is always. Anything that... Celestial Being cancels chain throw. I feel like there's a lot more answers to chain throw now than there were back then.
Yeah,
and actually...
Sooner or later, people are going to play Power Struggles.
Yeah. There's more. That's actually an excellent point that slipped my mind just now. Is that there's so much more throw hate. People are so much more equipped to fight over the shift damage from this. We have Exileless Attack. We have Demon Realm Awakening. We have Power Struggles. That those cards just didn't exist back in the day.
Swordfish,
Leaf Shield, Angel Discus rather. Owl Shield. These cards weren't around, and so if you made a 14 damage chain throw, your opponent was losing 7 vitality, pretty much guaranteed. You could fight over whether it got to 14, you could cancel their enhances on the way there. But if it was that big, it didn't matter what was happening in the block step.
Do remember, though, that Prepare to Fight does not work against chain throw, because it's a mid.
Yep, and Elk Shield will not stop the pickup, because it still deals 1 damage.
And, I think Elk Shield has been a card in some of the conversations since the Retro event. It's a card that is seen as a necessary evil, but not necessarily a strict good for the format, even. So I think my take was initially very negative on this. I don't think this is not good enough to see play in standard. I think I'm kind of on the same page with. It sounds like with the rest of the room here. I think this card would be actively. It would make standard better if it existed. If it was an option on the table, if it was something you could play with, I think it'd be good.
Jesse, how would you feel about chain throw in Kungjin? Would you run it in Kungjin? Is it good enough? Does it meet the muster?
That's a good question.
Because I wanted to ask you that because I feel like you're always turning the knobs on Kungjin to get the perfect mix of the attacks and the actions and whatnot.
the thing, the issue is right now is the deck really does have a hole in it that needs to be filled after after Slicer got banned, and I haven't really gone back to the fire build much. Or at the moment, I'm working on the other symbols actually of him right now. Are actually just went wide open, and we'll talk about that on Friday, Tim. But man, I mean, I would play this because all I need is I get the first turn of hits in, and then it's like, all right, play this, get 3 speed on it. Now you're looking for a 6 mid. Yeah, it has air on it, but I want I'm only fire and be like, all right, I need to let's just pick back up my missile launcher and kill you. Plus another stun lead is a solid stun lead attack like this is great too. Fog blanket. Ooh, yeah, the fog blanket. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like where it gets a little scary is putting any attack in your momentum back into your hand. But I feel like that's just an ability that feels right in universes, is get back a momentum, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, cards like Mayfa's Assault exist and are inoffensive, I think. And that's much better than get back a momentum, because, I mean, really, like, what it means to say get back a momentum to your hand, it says, well, draw a card with a cost of discard a momentum.
Yeah.
And you get selection on what the kind of card it is if you've, selected what's in your momentum, but...
Yeah, my first character. The reason it was designed, the response was designed in that character because I had just gone through a whole format of turning Body of Soul sideways to pick up my attacks out of my momentum, and I didn't want to give up the momentum to get that card back anymore. I just, every turn, just take one out, put one in.
Yeah, that response is brilliant. I love that. I loved playing that character back when it was in Standard and when it was good.
So
it felt okay in the one match I played it on Saturday.
So yeah, do we have any closing words on Chain Throw? Because that's such a fantastic segue.
No, I think we're good on Chain Throw, and I think it's time to move on to the Retro Roundup. Let's see. Tim Keefe managed to get into the Retro Roundup despite only appearing in like half the events because he's a maniac.
Yeah, let's get the first two, because it was just like, I wasn't feeling the playing online thing. I didn't want to like think about the retro format or whatever. And then like the third one, I was just like, I'll play my 3-dot for funsies. So I want to play Kuga again. And then I was like, oh, Kolokon plays this better. And then I did that for a while.
I think you had Cuddle in your sideboard for the first one. Like,
yeah.
Just in case.
I'm like, yeah, you should just be the main deck character. There was some cool stuff that the 3-dot build got to do that Kodal doesn't really get to do, but it wasn't really worth it.
Mm-hmm. So I guess before we have Tim talk about his matches on stream and whatnot, let's congratulate Jacob Mansour.
Yeah, King of Retro.
He is the King of Retro. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. Don't take this the wrong way, Tim. I don't think anybody better could have won the event. Jacob is a real ambassador and, real leader in the UFS community. He owns his own game store. He promotes our game, and he's out there, and he's always saying positive things about it. So I'm really glad it's him. I'm glad he won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what a story.
He got to play Nightmare like every round, right?
Until the finals, and then he battled out. The bracket got reset almost immediately, and then he battles out like 2 more hours to grind out the end of the tournament, and manages to take it down in the end by sticking to his guns with Lord Raptor.
What time did that whole thing end? Like
I gave 4 a.m.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So he was playing against Sam Tate in the finals, and kind of what happened is Sam Tate kind of fooled himself, or if you can even call it that, because what he did made sense, right? So the first match, someone finally bans Nightmare. Right, someone finally bans Jacob's Nightmare and forces him to play one of the other decks. So it becomes this Raptor Mirror match. And mind you, Jacob, aside from like one practice game, had never played Raptor in his life.
It's easy. Just herpa flash, breaker, win. Victory.
He possibly has never played against a Raptor in his life either. And the first match, he basically played Raptor like it was Nightmare. Just see orange, play orange, turn 1, who cares, slam it down. It was a disaster. He was getting completely torched by the commentators. And that kind of continued into game 2. And so, the losers bracket, Sam Tate won, so they get the rematch, right? And then the winner of this final match wins the whole thing. And so Sam goes into this thinking like, okay, there's no way Jacob's going to play the Raptor again. Like, that was a disaster. Like, he has to play the Shiva this time, right? So he switches to his Anti-Shiva deck, which is this Morrigan that he brought that is just not going to get hit by Diamond Crusher, right? And it's just going to kind of control Shiva out of the game. And then Jacob runs back the Raptor.
The mind fuckery.
That was part of his plan. He deliberately lost the first match just so he could lure his opponent to a false sense of security.
Yeah, and because the Morrigan kind of just takes really long to kill people, right? It wasn't really an aggressive deck by any stretch. Over the course of 3 games, Jacob sort of figured out how to play this Raptor deck. And you know, you always get some breaks in matches like this. I think there was some chain 3s or whatever at one point, but he managed to pull it out by sort of figuring out this deck he'd never played before as he went.
Yeah, and I think it's such an interesting story because, you know, you want to see the better player win, right? But what was interesting, what was so unique about this format was, or unique about this tournament was the format was this bring 3 decks, ban 1, choose your matchup kind of thing. And so much leveling, so many opportunities to outplay your opponent at that stage. And frankly, I mean, you know, you can frame it as Jacob took a gambit with his Lord Raptor deck, said, I don't think people want to play against this, and they'll ban it all day. And that's what happened, and he got to rattle off a bunch of wins with the deck he has absolutely mastered until the finals. And then it came down to one incredibly clutch decision that wasn't made inside of the games. To one, and you know, the equity in that match could have skewed by so much just from Sam's deck choice in the finals. And so it's really, and so to me, the narrative of that finals anyway, and of Jacob's win is sort of winning that meta game really well, of just setting himself up and to be in a position to play the kinds of games he's here for, and then also to be in good positions outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob also, I won't lie, the coverage kept going back to Jacob throughout the day, and there was definitely some matches that I thought Jacob was dead to rights. We all thought, the commentators thought he was dead to rights, and then he just straight giggle. I felt the giggles luck happening. Like, my opponent draws 2 attacks, I'm dead, and then just they draw the hand shows up on the cam, and there's no attacks, and I'm just like, this guy's dead next turn. This Jacob's gonna draw 5 attacks. Guess what Jacob does? 5 attacks.
Well, you know, there's an old saying, right? Better lucky than good, and why not both? Right? Yeah. So Tim, how did your day go? Did you get to play Kotal Khan every round, like Jacob got to play?
Oh no, they banned that every time. I was very open. Like, I wasn't gonna really test for this event. I was kind of just there to be a jobber, basically. Bring a couple decks that I thought would be, you know, kind of fun on stream. Wound up being on stream twice and wound up playing the Athena twice because I didn't want to get into a 2-hour match with Tira. So I just played Athena on stream like an absolute maniac a couple times. Came up just short in both matches. Never saw my double silent assassin. The deck is interesting. It has some.
That's the only way that deck can win, right? Is double silent assassin.
Not strictly. Not now, like it used to be, right? But the new version can do some pea shooter things. I should have been playing some number of power to connect realms and leaning into the pea shooter a little bit further, but that's the stuff you find out after you test a bit, which I didn't do.
Just like Jasco playtest, Tim didn't do any at all.
Yeah, and the other deck I brought a Stacker Tim 1 dot, which, you know, if you the plan in my head going in was if I knew I was going first, I would play the Tim 1 dot, because that is a deck that is much better going first than second. As you turn 2, you pop a foundation, you get net 4 speed, you land your gauge move, and you're off to the races, right?
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. I did some really silly charge theme lineup attack strings. I think I played a 6 attack string on 3 foundations at one point because I checked 5 out of 6 5s, which is actually only slightly above rate. But yeah, that deck was really neat. It could loop Swordfish. It had Cecilica. If retro continues, I'll probably play some version of that in the next online event. Because it's probably not going to be mission critical to get tons of points in every event next time. So
I think I need to play the Garrett Brett Voltron deck. I think I have to finally be the person to do it. Cement it.
Yeah, do you play? Anyway, that's speculation for later.
At any rate, did we have anything else we wanted to cover on the final retro roundup?
Oh, I just wanted to shout out, actually, Tim. I think I tuned in right as you started, like running like your turn one in the second match you were in. I know he played against OC. Was he playing Nightmare?
yeah, he was playing Nightmare. I figured I did not have time.
Yeah, and yeah, you just like completely bum rushed him on one with Athena's build. You said, "Hey, look, I have 2 foundations. That's enough to pass the Stink Gas. That's enough to pass the Piercing Howl. Get in them bones."
Yeah, I figured out that I could.
A cat for us with Athena too.
Yeah. I was like, I can get rid of 2 of his 3 foundations, maybe get some damage in, and like that's probably better than just like building and seeing what throws he draws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that play, and it was a couple times Nightmares got away with, like they really got. It felt like they really got away with it, where they were on the back foot at a low life total and in a terrible position, and then their opponent had a draw step, and that draw step was empty.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I remember looking at these matches. Was Jacob's Nightmare deck played outside of like a few foundations? Was his attack lineup pretty much all standard?
Yeah, it was a standard deck.
I think someone told me I was actually a standard deck.
There were no retro cards in it?
Yeah, it's an evil deck, right?
We'll have to wait to see lists. I mean, I guess I could find lists somewhere, but I don't think it had any.
Wow.
I don't
Yeah,
think
like
it
you-
did.
I mean-
I'm like, he just like, I just want to say that it's like, all right.
Well, I feel like, building a retro deck right now, unless you are like committed to doing something in retro, it's not necessarily wrong to start with your standard deck and say, okay, what's available that makes my thing better?
He had 2 heads and tails.
That card
Right.
seems good.
Okay.
I believe that's it.
I mean, usually,
Okay.
I gotta say, to accomplish that, usually you just want to head over to Champ Batch 2. And
Yeah.
that usually helps your standard deck out a lot. But
Yeah.
don't run Millennium Games and Hobbies. It's only good if Tim tries to do the Tim Voltron.
Or if you are physically me, you can play that card because it will always obey you. If you need zone change, it will serve up zone change. If you need damage, it'll serve up damage.
You'll never
It will
lose
never
2
hit you for
vitality.
2, unless you need to take 2. If you get in desperation, then it's there for you as well.
I did that once. I remember playing that card by one of my Raiden decks back at one point, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna play it for fun." And I'm like, "I really need to go into desperation if I'm gonna kill you this turn." And
Millennium
I'm like,
Games.
like perfect. Lose 2 out of Millennium Games. Love it.
Because I'm the only idiot who ever would put like something that actually hurts me on my champ card. Take that.
I mean, it's spin the wheel, make a deal. Like it's always what I thought about that card, Sean. That's why I really would love an asset. Just have a roulette table. Like that card can be reprinted with as the roulette table, and whatever you flip is just what you're getting.
It was a spiteful card design.
It was. I was angry at the time.
We were angry at Angels. We were angry at, I don't know if there was another. I think there was another stacker. We were angry, and we were angry at other champs.
Yeah.
We're like, listen,
You
screw
weren't mad at me though. You weren't angry at Kazuya, just all the other ones, right?
And on that note, let's move on to our next topic. No, Tim, you were fine, I guess. But yeah, that was right. We wanted to punish the other champions for running their champ cards.
The
Flip a champ card, lose 2. Get out of here.
but yeah, so we'll see how retro continues. I'm sure some between whenever the next event is, it probably won't be for another couple months at least yet before they spin this up again. But we can probably expect like the Terry ban at this point, and probably something happening to Raptor, and Shiva was kind of pissing people off. So we may see something for that for standard, but we'll see. Hopefully we hear about it, anything that they're doing for standard by Friday, so that it doesn't blow up this event too much.
Let me tell you who was treated extremely unfairly in this last retro event. Kevin Broberg. They had to ban Kevin Broberg, but they let all the other nonsense go. Superior technique, much more offensive than Kevin Broberg. It's okay.
They banned Big Cyclone.
Yeah, they banned Big Cyclone.
Yeah.
But Superior
That's
Technique's
never hurt
okay.
anyone.
Yeah.
It's
so
literally never hurt anyone.
Yeah, so
I actually died
Big
with
Cyclone was
Cyclone.
there like, we don't want to ban Terry, so we'll ban this instead so that people can theoretically build decks to beat Terry.
Yeah, but Miles didn't even show up to the event, so we didn't need Terry to be legal.
He was too busy running an in-person event.
But yeah, so like the thing with the Terry was like, I feel like because I mean Sam said, and he's not entirely wrong, that like if you're playing a speed bonus deck, the Terry's kind of dead to rights. And when it had Big Cyclone, that wasn't true, right? Because it wasn't dead to rights. It would just get Big Cyclone and then it's fine. And so, like, I think the idea was if we ban Big Cyclone, people can. This is a pick and ban event. You can either build decks that can beat Terry, or you can ban him, and they are both like viable options. And a couple people decided to face Terry with decks that were not necessarily prepared to face Terry, and we had some 2-hour matches on stream, and everybody hated it. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about events that won't have 2-hour matches, I hope. And that is the TKE-TTST, or the Tim Keefe Experimental Tabletop Simulator Tournament. I love that title. Thank you, Tamron Cardwell. I think it makes Tim a little uncomfortable and blush, so that makes it just better yet. All right, so Tim Keefe, I'm going to put up the modified rules again on the screen. Tell us about your crazy rules, starting with the sideboards and whatnot.
Yep. So we're gonna follow in the footsteps of these retro events. We're gonna have the 10-card sideboards. We're gonna have the top 8 deck preview. The 2 big things we're doing. First of all, we're introducing the concept of a softer diversity. This is not the only way to do it, but what we are going to do for this event is we're going to try saying that there must be 6 different characters in the top 8 instead of 8. Obviously, that's a number you could set to whatever you want. The other sort of line of softer diversity is, say, you allow 2 of each character in the top cuts or something like that. Either way, I just think that's probably healthier than it's certainly healthier than the current diversity, and it's arguably healthier than 0 diversity.
Diversity is poopy.
So, I just want to put that out there. The big sort of high-profile thing is that we're going to have the second player have a +2 hand size during their first draw step. So the idea behind this is they will have better card selection throughout the first few turns. The scenarios where the player going first just kind of attacks to strip attacks out of the second player's hand. So now they might actually have foundations to block with, because they don't just have to build every foundation they draw, right? If they're less likely to just have, if you mulligan into a 2 foundation hand, maybe you'll find a third. You'll be more likely to get a 4 build on turn 1, things like that, to try to edge up the odds of player 2 winning, because it hasn't looked good when we've tried to measure it, and we'll see how it goes in this event.
Alrighty. So, Jesse, did you have another? You put up your finger.
No, I was sorry, I was reading something. I was like, that's something we'll bring up at the end.
All right, so those are the modified rules. I wanted to also talk about some of the prizes, because everyone loves prizes. I like giving things away. So, just for showing up, you're going to get in your participation packs the original Cole 45, not the fancy new one, but the OG with resource symbols in the middle of the card, because we're old. Covert Intent, and a Shin Shoryuken. That's $15 in value just for signing up. If you come in 2nd through 8th place, you're going to get some of the new cards. So you're going to get 4 copies of Sleigh Ride Stowaway, 4 copies of Sleigh Ride Special Delivery, and 4 copies of the new Cole 45. You're also going to get store credit. 2nd place gets $90, 3rd and 4th place gets $60, 5th through 8th place gets $30 in store credit at RochesterCCG.com, your number 1 source for all of your UFS needs. Lastly, the most important prize, the sexiest prize of all, is the winner is going to get Tim Keefe's first My Hero Academia player bundle. You're going to take cards out of this poor little child's mouth.
What? Why am I eating them?
Don't you eat trading cards? That's how I stay so fat. So Tim Keefe's first player pre-order bundle for My Hero Academia will be yours if you win the TKE TTST. Pretty cool, right, guys? But wait, there's more. And this is actually just revealed today. So every round, there's going to be raffles. To encourage everybody to stay in for the whole tournament, every round that you complete, you're going to get a ticket into a raffle. So the first round, at the end of the first round, we're going to pick 2 winners to get a Street Fighter DLC pack. And those are compliments of our sponsor, Final Round Game Shop. You may have heard that name before because the winner of the Retro event is the owner of the Final Round Game Shop, Jacob. Thank you for that. At the end of the second round, we're going to draw 2 raffle tickets, and they're going to win a set of the Yu Yu Hakusho full art promos.
Oh, does that include the High Block Kuwabara?
Let me check. I actually got them right here.
Priceless.
No, it's a mid-block Kuwabara.
Well,
Still pretty.
the collector's item hunt for it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't win them all, Kevin Broberg.
That
Yeah,
set has
but-
cool characters like Rando and Yusuke.
And Kuwabara.
Yay. Byakko. Actually, Byakko's pretty cool, honestly.
Crowbars.
How good is Stowaway Hiei?
All right, on that note...
Anyway.
At the end of round 3, we're going to be giving away an All Might promo character card. Now, I don't know if you've been over to eBay lately, but it's still going for $75 a piece.
Wow.
So if you win
pretty big.
that raffle, you've actually paid your tournament entry almost 4 times. So...
Yeah, that's a really big one. And remember, if you're in the raffle, if you are still playing in the event. So part of this idea is to give out cool prizing to more than just the top cuts. Part of the idea is to get people to keep playing without strong arming them per se, because we want data. We want you to report after each round how many games the player going first won, how many games were won by the player who went second in that game, so that we can compile this and see what happened, and hopefully we can get enough of a sample size to where it's not like a statistical joke, right? To where we can do a confidence interval and it looks, I guess I'm getting nerdy, but you can say like we're 95% sure that the player 1 win rate is between this number and this number. And if that range includes 50, then awesome, right? If that range is like player 1 wins 40 to 45% of the time or something like that, then we know that this went too far, right? Or what have you.
Oh, the chat wants to know if they can get a Tim Keefe character card for making top cuts.
You can get a character card by just like messaging me your address, and I guess I don't know how long it takes to mail things these days.
It takes a while.
A while. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a new president, so maybe the mail will be fixed soon.
There's currently I have 5 packages that are stuck at one South Jersey location, and they've been there or going on day 10.
Turns out that's actually where the Holy Grail is at the end of Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
That's where your package is.
I actually just got 2 holiday cards from two of my mom's sisters and brother and sister that were both postmarked in November.
Nice. Wow. Good times. So on a more positive note, we have 21 players signed up so far, and if you want to find out what the remaining raffle prizes are, make sure you sign up if you haven't already, because I'm a jerk and I'm not going to tell you what the raffle prizes are until you sign up for my tournament. So take that.
And I'll step in as the give some TO rundown. I've got the Discord pretty much set up, which is great. I've pretty much had to learn a lot about actually running a Discord, which is how do you like lock people out of areas and stuff like that. It's been fun. But everything's gotten set up, so as we start receiving deck lists, probably it'll be about 2 or 3 batches I'll be doing. But I'll probably start sending people their invites probably next Wednesday. So maybe we'll start putting deck list in. If you were wanting to know, yes, the holiday bundle cards, they are up on TTS. They are legal in this event. Please remember that. I think we're gonna hard cut off. What are we gonna say? Friday. If there's nothing announced on the Joffice, we're gonna That's the
We'll
format.
do it live.
So, yep. Any rules changes, any LGR updates, any bans, any erratas, anything that might get announced on a Friday at the office, those will be the rules for the event. And if they don't say anything by the end of the week and we don't get any news, then even if they ban some stuff on Monday, they'll still be legal for this event because we want to give people like at least a week to work out
Right.
What
they're running.
Yeah, if you want to test more than Tim Keefe did for Retro. Which,
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah. Well, no,
Are we
if
banning Kevin
they don't do anything to KB2 before the event, then Mark Tyner can come walk over this event too, and we can maybe not learn anything. But like theoretically, Jasco should like they have to do something sooner or later, right? So.
Gosh, Kevin Broberg, the rich get richer, making champ cards that are busted. Gosh.
King Goomba, yes. I can't invite, because your Discord information will be on your deck registration form. I can't invite you to a server until you've submitted your deck. I mean, I definitely will be doing them. Everybody will be invited by Friday at midnight, because that'll give me 3 hours to get. I want to make sure, like, how many participants did we get? Do I have enough? Like, I'm gonna message Sean at 9 o'clock. I'm like, all right, Sean. How many entries do we have? All right, how many deck lists do I have? Who didn't put in a deck list?
Yep.
And I think people will be allowed to change their deck list and resubmit if they
right.
have a change of heart or whatever. What do you say?
Yeah.
I just want to have like a baseline to work with. That's really what it comes down to, guys. I want to make sure everybody's set up, work and able to get in. That's really what I need to do. Like I said, I'll be writing the TO for the event. I actually still have to download the program again. I have to find it. I know it's somewhere. Somebody will find it, or someone will send me a copy of the program.
It's a very tiny jar file, if I remember correctly. Alrighty. So, reminder, we have the event coming up. We're going to have some commentators all day. We're going to have Tam Cardwell, Kevin Broberg, and a surprise guest commentator, myself. Bet you're shocked about that. Tournament entry is $20 until this Saturday.
Yep.
After this Saturday, I'm going to charge you extra for being lazy and late.
Yeah.
And that also comes down to when Sean remembers Sunday morning to log in and
change the price. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know. A certain team that plays football from Buffalo has a game on Sunday that's really important. So I will be up bright and early because I won't be able to sleep.
Yeah, and remember, you can sign up even if your deck list isn't ready. You can totally sign up now, get the lower rate, figure out your deck between now and 9 p.m. on Friday or something it was
9 p.m. next Friday.
Yeah.
And
that's 9 p.m. Eastern or Pacific?
Eastern.
Eastern.
We'll make sure Wednesday when we do our thing for the week, we'll make sure the post we'll have like a little thing probably with Sean. I'll add a little tag. You haven't submitted your deck list. Submit your deck list. Here's the link. There is the text of the link in the registration page for the event. If you click on it at Rush CCG, go down to the bottom, just copy the link, bring it up. It'll bring you right to the event registration page. I may even do a quick screen share next week and show people if they are really that uncomfortable and unsure what's going on, to make sure this is done properly.
And I just added a link directly to the event. Oh, actually, we have sold 22 tickets now. I apologize.
Hey.
Unlike certain news channels, we actually correct ourselves when we make an error. So 22 tickets have been sold.
Thank you, presumably, to our viewers who purchased that ticket.
Thank you very much. Alrighty, so remember, sign up before Saturday, otherwise you're gonna have to pay me extra. And who wants to give Sean O'Brien more money, right? Commentators, Tam, Kevin, and myself. We also want to thank our sponsors, Rochester CCG, because I like giving stuff away. Boo.
Boo.
The Final Round Game Shop for providing some of the raffle prizes, and Jasco Games for hooking us up with some promos to give away. So
no, there is no Facebook event page. I don't feel like dealing with one. Sorry, guys. Facebook events has actually become a lot harder to deal with. I I tried to set one up for something, and I spent 30 minutes on it before it would let me click start, like, invite people to the event. I'm like, nope, not dealing with this anymore. So there'll be plenty of shared links and everything, and we'll make it happen.
Yes. So let's find out if this week from Saturday, if Tim Keefe has fixed the player one advantage.
Yeah, I mean,
moved the
honestly,
needle, Sean. Come on.
Yeah, honestly,
Fix is
like
not the intention. It's moving the needle.
Yeah, when I move the needle, though, it's when I usually put a whole bunch of gas in my car and it goes from E to F. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, it really, any result that's like a decent enough sample size to say something is interesting, right? If it goes too far, that's useful information. If it doesn't quite go far enough, that's useful information. If it does nothing, that's useful information. And we'll have to. You might think it's going to be skewed because everyone here is going to be trying to, quote unquote, break the rule or whatever, right? Find a way to break it in half. I've gotten something like, "Oh my God, Cassie Cage is going to be so broken with she draws. She's going to do these crazy turn one attacks with 2 extra cards." Like, go
Great.
for it, right? Yeah, let's see it. But I think that's going to balance itself out probably because some people are going to be seeing this as my character's normally really bad going second, and this might help, and some are going to see it as this character's already pretty good going second. Let's double down on that, right?
Yep.
And we'll see what the mix is of those kinds of decks, but my expectation is that it'll more or less, even itself out and not make the data too corrupted.
Yeah, and I think it's worth emphasizing too that I think this rule change will benefit every deck, every character. A deck like Jacob Enter's Nightmare deck, it's pretty happy to have 2 more looks to draw foundations on turn 1, just be able to get a really good build out and have a reliable turn 2 through the rest of the game to make up for that, be able to clutch those blocks.
I won't lie. If I was able to play in this event, I was gonna play Tomahawk Man and just always go second. Like, I'm gonna it would get a top cuts. I'm like, what's Jesse doing? And like, why is he going second? I'm like, he's an 8 hand size. He's gonna attack on 1 every time.
So what you're telling me, Jesse, is I should withdraw from commentary and buy a ticket and play as Tomahawk Man.
Do it.
It's fun. Trust me. It's a good time. Is it not? It's not. I played it at the standard event, and it was fun. It didn't kill a lot of people, but man, when it did kill people, they were scared. And I like, how if I had 10 and it's my second turn?
Tomahawk Man puts the fear in you.
My actual personal theory on this change and who benefits the most from it is actually I think the speed characters probably make out a little bit better than others because their turn 2 attack strings don't necessarily care how many cards are in the other player's hand, and their turn 2 block strings really care how many cards they have in their hands. So that'll be interesting to see if we have Takis, if we have Sophitia, Spikes, Morgans, those sorts of decks, how they do.
Do you know who I wish I could play in this event? And I'll tell you what, I'll give you guys a clue who I'm going to say. He did nothing wrong.
Nickel Man?
He did plenty wrong. He did lots of wrong, Kevin Broberg. Get out of here. Jetta. I think we should unban Jetta and ban Kevin Broberg for this event.
No.
Okay, T.O. says no. Sorry, I tried to have fun, chat, but that's not happening. Jesse hates fun is the moral of the story. Worst T.O. ever. Now he's going to tell me like I have to show up on time for rounds and... Alright, so remember, sign up for the event. If you don't pay me by Saturday, you're going to pay extra. So $20 entry. Get your prizes. I mean, your prizes just for showing up almost pay for the entry. And if you hit the jackpot and win them All Might, then you are really happy. Alright, our final topic for the evening is an update on the Jasco Christmas bundles. I am happy to announce that I have them in my possession. So if you ordered a Jasco Nicholas the Saint holiday bundle, I have a lot to ship out. I'm hoping to have most of them out tomorrow, if not on Friday. We also still have some for sale, a limited quantity, available at rochesterccg.com. I don't think you can get them on Jasco's website anymore, so this is kind of a last chance. And I can tell you right now, the Sleigh Ride Stowaway card I think is pretty good.
Yep.
So, those will be shipping. And Other than that, did we have anything else we wanted to cover tonight, guys?
I will say, Sean, I think you might be one of the only retailers that has those available. Like I was poking around some websites and like I don't think many people decided like, oh, I'm gonna try selling the bundles as well and obtained extras to sell later.
Yeah, speaking of whether or not we messed up with the with Sleigh Ride Stowaway, on Friday on my stream, which is going to be twitch.tv/Shatonis, Jesse is going to be joining me. I'm going to build a Sleigh Ride Stowaway deck of some kind, probably Taki, and then I'll have a couple other decks in tow, and we will play a few matches. Jesse's got 3 Stowaway decks lined up, and we will play with the modified rule set of the player going second sees 2 extra cards. We'll get a look at that. And we'll just play some matches and see how it feels, both on the extra cards front, on the, Stowaway, Wombo combo decks front. And, and if anything comes along in terms of rule changes or whatever, we'll try to factor those into.
Excellent. Very good. There's no Universonomics this week. We'll be back. There'll be a rerun tomorrow night. We'll be back in 3 more weeks for that monthly show. This Saturday, I will be on doing some commentary for the Genesis Battle of Champions game. That will be extremely interesting, as I've not played a single game. I've watched my friends play, so I'm going to learn very quickly.
COVID.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a tournament.
I really want to play it more, and I tried playing it on tabletop, and it needs some physics cleanup for their tail. I think it doesn't need a lot, but it needs like I definitely like tried to do something like draw from my deck and picked up the thing that my deck is supposed to sit in.
Oops.
Like it was like this physics thing needs to get fixed. Like can we glue this to the table somehow?
Press the L key.
So
yeah,
I will be doing that this Saturday. Wish me luck, guys. I remember we were supposed to have a tournament, but then COVID happened. It was going to be a round robin with the stuff. So on the bright side, I have for the 4 of us a set of everything in the game now. The game's really reasonably priced, honestly. So I'll be doing that Saturday, and then next week we have a bunch of things happening. We'll have Top Deck Heroes on Wednesday, and then we will have the TKE TTST on Saturday.
Yeah.
We hope you'll join us, and other than that, I hope everybody has a good night, and we'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks. Good night. Stay safe.
Night.